The Communist Manifesto was originally labeled a Communist Manifesto of Faith or Confession of Faith by Marx and Engels a year before. In a letter, they decided to scrap that name and call it a manifesto, which of course is less personal, more generalized. Of course, the Communist Manifesto is a manifesto as a manifestation of a confession, right? It says a lot about how both the left and right mistreat it. The left often treats it as philosophical work, and so does the right. They read it and think they understand Marxist philosophy, but they weren't laying out a philosophy. Marxist philosophy doesn't come for decades later. 3 decades later? 2 decades later? In the 1870s, with the publication of his large tome. And just as you wouldn't say you understood Hegel's philosophy without diving into his large tome, Philosophy of Spirit, you couldn't possibly say you understand Marx at all just by reading one Confession of Faith. But it also lays out his a priori's, those things which can be critiqued by left and right, are its generalizableness. And really, if there's a confession of faith for left localists, those people have been here without much theory for so long, since the peasants we were here, even before. This folk who realize those structures outside of the power of a single community, however small, are themselves unjust or can easily become systems of injustice. Left localists need a confession of faith too, don't they? Don't we? So a left localist manifesto, a left localist confession would probably begin with something like anything that can be done at a local level ought to be done. That the local should supersede the state and the national and the international laws. Second, that local communities are diverse, can be equitable, and ought to be inclusive. But if you clump those together into DEI, you take away all meaningful diversity, all meaningful equity, and all meaningful inclusion to generalize it into meaningless gobbledygook that does nothing but loses votes and loses trust in institutions, in local institutions, as people consider them as global. That institutions themselves should be small enough for a local community to act upon it. That larger institutions, whether they're government or private, whether it's Penn State or Harvard, Penn State to State College, Harvard to Massachusetts, right? Or the Department of Energy versus a local energy department. If they're too large for the local community to act upon it, they need to be split up. So left localists aim to increase local diversity, local equity, local inclusion, even local equality, based on their own values. And these are influenced by people's spiritual and secular values. A left localist confession, everybody that holds to it knows that we can go into our town hall and raise complaints, or to our school board and raise complaints. Not that we'll always be heard, but that we can't, in the same way, walk into the President's of the United States room and talk to them about our problems, or even expect them to care, even though they'll pretend to care. Or that we could do that even with our senators or US House members. These things are too big. These government forms are far too big. Even some of the cities, New York, LA, are too big to be a singular government. That more power should be divided within those cities. That local neighborhoods, Brooklyn, right? And even more local neighborhoods should have more power than the city when the city is so large. Because our ideals, freedom, justice for all, love, community, protecting the environment, these can only be done at the local level. And it is only the large international institutions and large national institutions, private and public, that destroy our earth, that destroy our love for one another, that destroy our ability to work to make our communities better. To exemplify, I'm a middle school teacher. At my middle school in Mill Hall, which is in Clinton County, Pennsylvania, yes, it's small, yes, it's rural, has a number of people. I probably had 10 students who spoke different languages this year in my class. Many speak Spanish, a couple speak Haitian Creole, one spoke Ukrainian, one spoke Portuguese. But that local diversity is a beautiful thing. As people become part of that community, that local diversity. Is it DEI? No, DEI did not do that. DEI is meant for the ultra rich, to get rich suburbanites to move from their poor communities in the global south to come live in the US and become professors of DEI. That is not diversity, not real diversity of mind or people. It's not equity, and it's not really inclusion either, is it? Though it uses those names, hijacks them, mumbles them up into a garbled slogan, and makes it useless. So what do you think? Do we need a left localist confessional? I think so. Nice short 2-mile run this morning. Have a blessed day.